Hey guys, it's Da Vinci, and I'm here for the Bloggers Night Out. We're going to be doing a roundtable with Will Packer, Michael Ealy, and Regina Hall for About Last Night. It goes into theaters on February 14th, 2014. We'll have more information, questions for you on yourlifeafter25.com.
So, imagery is something that I know we all talk about, right? And as a filmmaker, I feel like we have the right and also the responsibility to put a variety of images on the screen, right? I don't want to see just African Americans in hood movies, but at the same time, you know, African Americans have the right and responsibility to be seen on film, you know, behaving badly, behaving nobly, but, you know, and everything in between, because we're full, well-rounded. Let's talk about the imagery in About Last Night. So this is, it's an adult, sexy film.
I can't get that image out.
That leg, that's the leg.
That was my leg, everyone.
What is, I mean, you know, talk about it. You brought up Love Jones. I think that's a good example. That's kind of, you know, cult classic status, I think, amongst a certain audience. And I don't know that we've seen, you know, black love portrayed on film since then. And this is a different kind of look. This is definitely an adult, contemporary look at modern day relationships. What thoughts do you guys have about the images in this film?
I feel that the images that we put out are crucial. I just do. I know that people don't want to say that, you know, people in my business, people in my position say, I don't want to be a role model. You know what I mean? It's just, you can't say that anymore. You just, as much as you don't want to be, you are. And so you have to kind of acknowledge that to a certain extent. Now, I mean, there are going to be roles that are tougher. Like for me, for example, a Bo William for Colored Girls, you know, there are people who took issue with that, but my angle, my approach to that was a soldier who's suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, and you know, that's an image that, you know, nobody wants to really see, you know, and that's why it's a problem in this country. But also, you know, I just feel like it's always important to play someone who is impactful, and with the movies that I've chosen and with the television roles that I've chosen, I feel like I've been blessed to do that. I started out, so to speak, as a thug, you know, in barbershop. I started out as a thug. Now, I remember before that, when I was in New York, I had gotten so tired of auditioning for Law and Order and playing, you know, auditioning to play the black kid who gets outsmarted and beat up in the interrogation room. And I got tired of doing that, so I said, I'm not going to do it. I'm not even going to read for those roles anymore. And then when Barbershop came around, I felt like Ricky reminded me a lot of Tupac, in that, you know, he definitely, he was a thug more by environment than he was by his mind. You know, his mind, he was smart. He was a smart cat, but it was his mind. And I think that kind of imagery is starting to, being able to change the imagery a little bit, you know, taking the thug, and you and I were talking about this Richard Sherman situation.
Right.
You know, you got a guy who's brilliant, he's smart, and because he raises his voice and he gets passionate, he's labeled a thug.
Right.
And we got to stop that.
Yeah.
You can't have that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got to be able to express yourself and not be labeled a thug, or wear tattoos and not be labeled a thug. So, you know, it's important to recognize all of that, and at the end of the day, we are responsible for the images that are on that screen. This particular movie, what I loved the most about Danny was he's a guy who doesn't get the relationship thing right. He's flawed. That's accurate. You know, for a lot of guys, that's accurate. It was accurate for me for a while, and you know, he's also someone who wakes up one day and realizes, I have a job. I don't have a career, you know, and I think those themes make it more relatable to certain people in the audience. And those kind of images, you know, you got the sex and you got the other stuff, but to me, those were the things that really kind of made him tangible, that made me want to play, you know, because that's the rich material right there.
Well, my first role was a stripper, and I remember I was telling my agent, they gonna want me to play. No one has asked me again to play a stripper. I'm offended. I said no one's called. So it was, but that's good. I mean, slightly offensive. So for me, I think when I got the opportunity to do comedy, I really liked comedy, and the thing. Whether you're doing broad comedy or you're doing subtle humor, the biggest thing is you have to make it a real person. There has to be a humanity to it. So with Joan, she's today's woman. She is
Smart.
She's smart and she's thank you. Wait, what was I saying? Look, what you just said? No, she's smart and she's independent and she's a dentist. She's a professional and she loves what she does. She loves teeth. But most importantly, she's really unapologetic for her life. But she is emotional and she's passionate and she loves hard. I'm a woman. I love hard in real life, and black women, we love hard. That's why we're so spectacular. Because we love hard, and we love with that kind of, maybe not as bad as Joan, but we love with the ferocity, you know what I mean? And it's an informed, way that we love. But I think with her, she's fun. She's the opposite of Debbie. So with Joan, I just wanted to have fun with her, but I wanted her to be, but I did want audiences to see a little bit of themselves in her, recognize her, like her. I mean, she's I wanted people to like Joan, but not really. I didn't care. But of course, because you want to play the truth of the character more than you're thinking about. I want the audience to like her. But I'm saying, as a whole, whatever. It's Regina. But the point is, let me get back to the point. The point is, I wanted to make her have all the facets of what it is to be a woman, and then have fun with that, and have her be able to be sexually free but not a hoe, you know what I mean? And she's not, she meets someone, she has a connection, and she's not bed hopping, and she doesn't bed anybody else in that movie. But in that moment, life is happening, and she says yes.
I think that you guys both did an excellent job portraying round characters that were engaging, characters that had flaws, characters that were passionate, and I think at the end of the day, that's the imagery that we want to put on screen. I mean, don't you agree? Didn't they portray those characters as some rounded people? All right, we're going to open it up and ask a couple of questions. Now, guys, these are some of the titans of the internet and the blogosphere.
And why did you tell us outside?
What
we
I
didn't
say?
have to worry. You said these notes.
These are my folks. These are you in Atlanta. They're great. Where you guys stand on social media and all of that? Obviously, it's a big part of promoting any film right now. Just what are your thoughts on?
I'm not on social media, but that's not for any. I just don't have much to say like that. But I love it. I love how you all reach people. I read stuff on it. I go on social media. I do, and I love how I see how like in this generation now, because I'm 22.
I mean, candy wasn't even legal.
I was a child.
All right, questions? Yes.
Hey, Will.
Hey.
I saw the original with Demi Moore and Brian Will. What made you want to remake it?
The good script. I got a script that was actually based, like Michael said, on the David Mamet play, Sexual Perversity in Chicago. That's the movie that's the play that the first movie was based on. Then we actually went back to that play. So this is a little bit of a reimagining, a reboot. It's not so much a remake of that film. It is more a retelling of the play. And I thought it was really good material. And I thought it'd be great to see beautiful African American actors portray these characters. I like to see diversity in imagery. Yes, sir. Yes, you.
Well, because of that, was there some talk in Hollywood because it is an all-black cast?
Was there talk about?
Some hesitation going back and forth.
You know what? I tell you something that's interesting that I don't even know that they know, but it was before it came to me. It was they attempted to remake it because the script was at this particular studio, and there was a hesitation when they approached white actors because there was a nervousness about remaking it. The actors that they approached said, well, I don't want to be the new Rob Lowe. I don't want to try to step in Demi's shoes. And I don't know if that was as much of a hesitation, but for me, I didn't feel those same kinds of constraints because I knew that it would be voiced different and I knew it would be a completely different perspective. So that wasn't an issue at all for me, but they did approach some white actors who said, you know what, I don't want to do that, which I can kind of understand. I can understand if you remade Best Man or Think Like a Man. I can see some young actors say, you know what, I don't want to step into Michael Ealy or Regina Hall. But for you guys, was that a hesitation or a concern stepping into well-known roles?
Not for me.
Yeah, not for me at all. Not for me at all. And again, that's why I never really watched the movie. I thought it was important to kind of bring my own spin and my own energy to Danny as opposed to trying to see what Rob Lowe did 20, 30 years ago. I mean, I think, listen, I've worked with Rob Lowe. He's hilarious. You know what I mean? He's hilarious. But, you know, where he was then and, you know, where he is now and where I am now, we're two different people. Right. So I just take it off of the play, really. You know, I thought that was really more my approach.
Yes.
He answered my question. He asked if they see the film from the 80s.
I watched it.
Okay.
But my character's so different in the first one and then in this one.
Okay, well I do have another question. I know that they took that Rob, what's his name?
Rob Lowe?
Yeah, no, Jim Belushi, the line from Jim Belushi, that made it, Kevin Hart had a similar line and made it so funny. Did y'all incorporate it? How did y'all kind of incorporate those lines from the movie to kind of make it kind of more comedic? Because Kevin Hart said it so much funnier than Jim Belushi did, in my opinion.
I don't even remember their lines so much. I just watched the movie kind of just because it just to watch it, to just see what I had seen it. But I was 22, but I saw it, you know,
12,
spiritual level.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. So I didn't pay attention how they did the lines.
Yes.
It's no secret that the rainforest is dominating the theaters way into 2014. Can you speak to your process of, because we've seen Regina, we've seen Michael in other productions, what's your thought process in using Regina multiple times, Michael multiple times, and in different capacities? Why these actors in the project?
I love them. I mean, I'm going to be totally honest with you. They make me look so good. And, seriously. And they make my projects just pop. And, you know, they both, while having a wealth of experience and while polished thespians who have been in the game for a minute, they're both still kind of fresh to our audience, you know? It's not like you feel, I always see Michael Ealy and Regina's always in that role. Like,
And
you don't have
every
that.
time we see them in your stuff. That's
Well,
why
part of that is them. I got to be honest with you, because that's what they bring. I mean, these were very different characters, but it's not like we didn't know going in. Okay, we had 3 of the characters from Think Like a Man, which, you know, this was going to be released within 2 years of that. But one thing they did was they brought very different, and they're professionals, this is what they do, but they brought such different energies, such different takes to these particular characters, Kevin as well. I mean, when you look at these characters and you look at other characters, I don't care if it's Think Like a Man or if it's, you know, Takers or if it's Best Man, each one, they came with a new approach and they became, you know, Danny and Joan. So, as a filmmaker, that's what you want. You want to have good materials, and if you put good material in the hand of quality actors, that's what happens. That's what comes out. Yes. Oh.
Can I comment on that just a little bit? I think there's you know, it's funny because your question, while I don't think it was loaded in any kind of negative way, I think there are some people I know who sometimes take issue with the same actors working with the same producers, and what I find interesting about that is nobody gets mad at Matt Damon and George Clooney for doing 17 movies together. You know what I mean? Like, nobody talks about Leonardo DiCaprio. And, you know, if you create a bond, especially, I mean, I've done 3 movies with Tim Story, and, you know, the third one being Think Like a Man 2, which will open at number 1. Let's just claim it.
Tell it.
If that happens, that'll be 3 movies, number 1, opening weekend, and the second weekend. Why break that? You know what I mean? Why break that? And it doesn't mean that there's not room to let other people in and let other people eat. That's going to happen naturally. It just will. But I find I find that it's funny that people bring that up because at the end of the day, it happens in Hollywood. Period. It's not like it's an African American producer actor thing. It's just people like to work with who they feel confident will bring it on that day, and I respect that.
And y'all do it well.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you. Well said, Mike. Well said. Yes.
Hi, I'm Kim with JubileeMag.com. Hilarious film. Great job. So my question is for Michael. You are newly married. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Personally, congratulations. You're in the movie playing a single guy.
Yeah.
You know, he's a gentleman.
Uh-huh.
He's a gentleman. You know, later on he has some, little whatever. So being that you're newly married, you finally found the one. In contrast to the film, what do you think are some of the keys that make relationships work?
What are the keys that make relationships work? I mean, I'm not writing a book, but what I will say, what works for me is being able to get along and trust, communication. That is probably, the best piece of advice you can give anybody is just find the best way to communicate in as many situations as you can, because I find that a lot of fights and stuff happen, based on misinterpretation or assuming this or assuming that, as opposed to just being open and honest about things. So it's important for me, in my opinion, just in terms of relationships and making them work, is communicate as effectively as possible. That would probably be my biggest piece of advice, if you will.
Well, you don't know, y'all don't need to ask me. I just say keep hope alive. Oh my God.
So in the movie, Bernie and Jones, a very intense and aggressive relationship. Have either of you guys been in that kind of situation before in your past relationships? Yes.
Elements of that. I haven't been as in, I don't ruin Thanksgiving, family moments, but certainly elements of passion and, fueled anger.
Yep.
Just yes.
That's the answer.
I remember right after I did Too Fast, Too Furious, I met this girl in Miami at the time. And she had a lot of fire we would get into fights, and I remember we would raise our voices, and that would and that made the sex better. And that was there was a part of me that really enjoyed that. I was 29 at the time, I think 28, 29, so it was I thought this is how relationships are. You know what I mean? You yell, you fight, and you make up. That was
and that's it.
That was a more immature way of thinking for me at that time. So I thought it was sex was good. So. Sorry.
All right, last question that you got.
Oh, thank you. Well, the narrative du jour in Black Hollywood, of course, is what you guys started talking about. 2013 was a phenomenal year. 2014, largely thanks to you, is going to be a really good year too. But on the inside, is there a shift? Are you guys feeling this difference? Are there more opportunities, more doors being open, or is it still, a fight to the finish as usual?
Want me to take it? Listen, in Hollywood, things are not perfect. They just aren't. And it's going to be a little bit longer before they are. But when I think about how far we've come, I can't help but be proud of the people that fought for us to get this far. I can't be more proud of being a part of this movement now. And I think we often forget about the imagery in television as well. I think we just say movies, but in movies right now, it's better, but also in TV, it's much better than television. It is exponentially better in television than it was 10, 15, 20 years ago. And, that's always been a good medium for us, in my opinion. And I feel like, now the opportunities in television, we have leads in shows. And I'm playing a machine. You know what I mean? And I'm quite sure, although no one has said it, they did not imagine it going this way. So there's we're breaking down barriers, if you will, and we're trying to make it better so that, the younger cats that are coming up, they won't have to deal with what we had to deal with when we first started out. But I would say it's definitely getting better, and I'm happy to say that. A couple more?
Acting is just, entertainment is competitive, for all races. You know what I mean? So there are a lot of actors and a lot of amazing ones, and that's white, black, Asian, Latin. So to be able to work is a blessing. You always want there to be more. I mean, that's just, like food. You're like, I wish there was more. And, I should have, break more. But it's not necessarily that way. But for today, it's wonderful. So today we're just happy with today. We're happy that there are producers like Will Packer who are conscientious and fervent and intelligent. And really what we need a lot more of are people like this behind the scenes, because these are the people who get the movies made, who put the numbers on the screen, who do all this kind of work to have you all get here, who encourage people to go to the movies. I mean, he's a master at it, and I think I experienced that firsthand with him on Think Like a Man, which I don't think he wanted me for, but I'm very happy with it. I always say that.
You were my first choice.
He don't mean it. But no, it doesn't matter. I love him. So, but the point is, having someone like that is what has really continued to make the difference. And we have directors and producers who are in those rooms and making those decisions and encouraging and swaying those decisions. That's how we get to where we are. So for actors, yes, it's great, but there's 2 to 5 years before a movie hits the screen that we're not a part of, and that that he does. So it's
Just to piggyback off what Regina said, I know we got to go because I got to get them to the carpet to answer some more questions. And we are going to do a conversation similar to this after our screening next door. So I welcome you guys to come. Probably a lot shorter, but we're going to just have a couple conversations in the Q&A after the screening. But, I want to thank, of course, my talented actors here, Michael and Regina, that make filmmakers like myself look so good. But I also want to thank you, and this is honest and this is true, because you're looking at 3 people that are just a small representation of a larger group of warriors out in Hollywood. We're warriors. We're fighting a good fight. And when we succeed, it's because of you, because you guys are tastemakers and you guys are influencers, and you know that. And so if you enjoyed the film and enjoyed the product and the work that we put out there, I want to thank you in advance for spreading the word, because it's so, so very important. You all know that, this film is going to be released against, 4 or 5 films that are going to have triple the budget. They're going to have way more media spend, way more commercials and billboards and all that. But at the end of the day, there's so much power just in this room, just with you guys and in your pens and in your keyboards, just in the fact that you have audiences. And so I thank you in advance, because you guys always go out and you spread the word. And if there's something that you're passionate about, something that's not right, you let it be known. Something that is right, you let it be known. And that's power. Don't ever stop it. And we thank you guys for supporting our film. So a hand to you guys.